So we're not just going to talk market, we're going to talk about the industry in itself. So, and we'll move fast. And some of you have been through a shift before, some of you have not. For those of you that have been through a shift, raise your hand. Okay, we're going to share a few tactics for them to realize, because you guys will be having a shift eventually, and yet we still can't. Is it here yet? And it's not something to panic about exactly. So we're going to move fast. So let's just talk market for a second. I pulled these numbers the day before yesterday, so they're super active.
Are they all of these?
Oh, no. I'll give those. Kevin maybe can scan the email. But what I did is I looked at the baseline, and when you're looking at a market, so we're going to talk market for a moment, and then we're going to talk COVID, and then we're going to talk about disruptors. But when you look at the market right now, it's good. I mean, seriously, right? I actually thought about selling my house because I can make so much money on it right now.
That's all of us.
Those renovations. But then you have to go find a house to buy, right? So yeah, I'm not selling my house. I do not need a realtor, so I got one at home. But you know, you guys are feeling it. So tell me, what does it feel like right now? Has it changed at all? Do you feel anything? Is it slowing a little?
Yeah.
It's just leveled off.
It is slowing a little.
Yeah. And you know, we got to remember we were on a frantic frenzy pace, right? So when it slows down, it's not really slowing down. It's getting closer to what normal could look like, right? So you got to remember that, because as agents, you guys have so much pressure to perform and create opportunity for yourselves. But at the same time, this little bit of leveling isn't the market crashing. It's not being as frantic. So the good thing is, we need to communicate that to everybody you guys know, because most of the people that didn't list before didn't want to list in that environment. They didn't want to worry about where they were headed. They were afraid to list. So think of this as an opportunity to re-communicate that. You guys, it's a good time to list now if you don't want to have those types of issues, because that was one of your objections that you guys had with the frenzied market. You know, it was too chaotic and all that. But yet, when we feel these slows, don't freak out. Just know that we're going back to more of a balanced market. And for those of you that haven't been in that environment before, you might think the sky is falling. It's not at all. Not at all. Because what we're on is not sustainable. So from 2019 to 2021, I skipped 2020 because that year was weird. Let's not talk about 2020, right? So from 2019 to 2020, Pinellas County had a 24% increase in 2 years to the median price. I mean, whoa. Yeah. That's not sustainable, is it? And that condos was 26%. But what I want to show you, and I want you to make this bigger, is when you look at units sold, if we just look single family, there was 1,287 sold to 1,339. So here's the funny part. We don't have a listing inventory problem, do we? We have people afraid to list their house problem. You know, it's true, because we had enough sales. We had more. So when people say there's a listing inventory problem, there isn't. It's just people aren't on the market yet. So when there is any tinge of a shift, there's certain parts of the market that you can watch to see it happening. And then there's certain parts of our market that will never shift. Like if it's a house for $300,000, that baby's flying off the shelf, right? Probably forever. But if you go up to a price point like $1 million, that might not be the case. So I just want you guys to be aware that we don't have a listing problem. Not at all. The listings are there because the sales happen. It's just they're not so easy to find. And so when you look at this type of market, this is where you guys can really crush it, especially those of you that are relational and that you really treated your database well. Or if you haven't, this is the time to start. Because if you communicate that the market is becoming less frantic, like it's becoming less frantic, that's where you're going to have people say, well, I'm thinking of selling in 2022. So we'll get into action items I want you to do, but that's one clue right there, is really communicate that the market isn't as wild as it was, and we're starting to see some signs of things.
Jess, that's the number one question, is where do I go? And that's starting to ease a little bit.
right, so I'm,
With stuff on the market longer.
I hope I don't
based on
screw,
market.
yeah, I hope I don't screw this up, Kevin, but I'm jumping off this, I'm gonna go online. Cause I wanna show you guys something.
You know, it was interesting when Jake did Gary's Mastermind last Friday, and we were, Friday, and we were looking at that. So the home sales in Pinellas County over the last 5 years has been pretty stable, like 2,500. It's a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
But the amount of listings that came to market were only like 2,600 this year versus say 5,000 5 years ago or 6,000 4 years ago.
Yes.
So it's like less than half.
Okay, do stop share and then reshare when I get the screen up?
Yep.
Okay. If this pops up. Here we go. You can do this on your website, and it's not sharing, so let me share. You want to accept cookies? Screen share. Here we go. Any one of you can do this on your own website. I just brought up Mark's. It's not sharing on here. What am I doing wrong? You're in charge. But you can do this on your own website, your own mobile app. You don't have to like pull data to do this, but it's a really good way to show what the market's doing. So I'm going to like role play to you as if you were my database, what information I would be showing and explaining. So there you go. Kevin, you got me on. Cool. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to search Clearwater, Florida. Now, when we're looking to see if the market is like shifting, there's a couple segments of the market that you want to go look at first because that's where it happens first. Who knows what market that is?
The higher end.
Yeah, and it's Gulf Harbor's second homes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So where the market shifts first is luxury and second homes. So you guys just go watch that market. And a really easy way you can do that is on your own website. So I've got Mark's. So I'm in Clearwater, Florida. If I go over to more and you just go to reduced in the last 7 days, and let's sort by price, high to low. High to low. We don't want recent update. We want price, high to low. Okay. Did I do that right? Here we go. So when you look at these listings, this one just dropped by 1.3 million. This one dropped by 950,000. This one dropped by 1.2 million. You're going to start seeing all the evidential proof right here. And I just want you to think of it like a roller coaster. When you go, like, when you go on a roller coaster, you go tick, 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 and then all of a sudden, we're right here. So it's such a great message to share with people. First of all, things are going to temper down. And for those of you that may not have wanted to list last year because it was so wild, this is the year. Yet you're right still at the very high. But what happens in about a year?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Level up.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's such an easy way to go look at it right there and to show someone that. You guys could do a video and show that to your database and say, hey guys, I got evidential proof that we've hit the top of the market and I want to show you. Yet, anyone that's in a really affordable-ish price point isn't going to feel that, are they? I don't think we'll ever feel it here, to be honest with you, because Florida is growing so fast. But that is the message of the moment is, we're here, guys. We're here, and then, so we've got to get real about what the market's going to do. We've got to be that communicator of the truth of the market. Now, and what I would do if I was you is I would communicate this message I just shared with you to your entire database and say, hey, if you're thinking of doing anything in 2022, buy, sell, invest, flip, vacation property, anything you're thinking of doing, let's talk now so we can time the market. Now, you guys know there's no such thing as exactly timing the market, but you can kind of give them that reality check by educating them that you guys were right there. Because what controls pricing and the market? Affordability and demand. We have demand, right? Because we've got everybody in the world living here right now. And that's not going to change. And that's what's unique about our market, right? So we could say, are we going to shift? Well, if you talk to all my clients, I've got about 70 different clients in 70 different markets. All of them are shifting hard now. Like even Miami. Miami has 3 years of inventory already for condos.
What?
Overnight, you guys, it happened overnight, but they've been watching, and it happened. And it's a lot of it's luxury. So you think about that, it's gonna feel like it happened overnight. Now, I was thinking about this, Judy, on my way in. Remember when we did this conversation like 2 years ago, and we talked about when you had the market, you felt the market crash in Gulf Harbors and you did all your data? Do you remember how much the market dropped and how quickly it dropped for our neighborhood?
Well, the first thing it did was stop.
It's not, yeah.
Nobody was selling.
Yeah,
We were just sitting on inventory.
You know, and many of you
Yeah.
have been through.
That was the first clue. It's like,
Well,
no,
and
they
the
would
thing
sell.
is you guys will start, you'll be like, what just happened?
right,
Like, I listed it, why isn't it sold? Why didn't I get 22 offers on it last night, right?
right, yes.
You know, so I want you to know that even though some of you have been through this again, it does catch you, and you're like, oh my God, it happened, right? And yet, the thing is we know that when we go through these shifts, it becomes a skill-based market. You know, you have to be able to have great conversations and real conversations with sellers about what the market's really doing. You can't just say, okay, let's try that price. Now you can, but you're gonna see a lot of expired listings from agents without skill.
I saw a new listing come on the market yesterday in Gulf Harbors. I sold that home 2 years ago for $416. The guy put in a new dock. Yay. Not a lift.
Not a lift.
And it's now on the market for $790.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I like, that can't be real.
That
Really?
can't be right. Yeah,
From
that's.
416 to
that's crazy.
790?
Yes.
Really?
So,
And then there's another one, I mean, I just was looking at it, they really are starting to sit on the market. Certain listings, I mean, people they're just out of whack.
Because sellers are
That's what
unrealistic.
Yeah.
sellers still think we're in that
We
frenzy
created the
6 months ago.
unrealistic in their head.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what they see
Yeah.
when they read.
Right.
so that, so you gotta share this message for two reasons. Okay, good, I did it. Look at that, Kevin.
Cool.
I am impressed. Okay, guys, I'm impressed by myself. So are we in a shift? Kinda. But here's what you gotta know is it kind of doesn't matter because how many people are moving from out of the area that are in a shift, right?
Yes.
So in Boston, there's home sale contingencies like crazy right now. Okay, who here doesn't know how to do home sale contingency? Several of you probably, you don't want to raise your hand, but you haven't done one yet, right? Because you've never been in that market. You have never been in that market because we've been in this wild market, and yet you're gonna have to deal with people coming in wanting to do a home sale contingency. Ha ha ha, funny funny. And yet all these other markets around you are in a very extreme shift. So you got to just start thinking this way, you guys. Even though I still don't feel like we're ever going to be in a shift for certain areas or certain price points, no way. You're going to see an area where you're going to get expired again. For those of you that like to prospect, which would be great. Yes, expired listings are fun because they already tried it once and they're ready to be real, right? It's like, yes, I got it the second time.
Isn't it like a trickle effect from it being in a shift up there that is going to trickle effect to the buyers that are relocating?
Absolutely, it's all a trickle effect, and because so many people are coming from out of the area, I'm just going to skip you to about shift. The thing is that we just have to be in the right mindset, you guys. You guys can't be thinking that this is just going to keep running. You've got to start studying the market, and like I just showed you, you can go to your own website and go search and look at luxury. Watch how there's currently 191 price reductions in the last 24 hours.
That's a lot. Was that just luxury you're saying?
Nope, I
Across the board.
did Pinellas County, but that's, you guys
I'm doing a
didn't have
price
that.
reduction today.
I just did one last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is some people are like, we have two right here.
We have one in the room.
And yet you guys didn't have
Bring your
that.
buyers.
You guys didn't have that. You didn't see that or feel that at all. And so just know you're right here and we've got evidential proof of it. So just be aware. And here's what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to fight the agents that will just take the listing. Okay? That's 80% of our MLS will say. That's all. Yep, I can sell it at that price. I can sell it at $790.
80%?
Oh gosh, yeah. You're gonna see this, Brian. You got 80% of our MLS is not skilled.
Because they just
Right.
want to get the listing.
And it'll be at 2%.
Right.
1% on a good day.
And you're gonna have to be able to start pulling evidential proof. you're gonna have to do like CMAs again, guys, like stuff that we haven't done in a while. So anytime we have these shifts like this, we get kind of rusty. Get on autopilot a little, and now would be the time to dust off the rust and really dig into being able to show someone what their house really is worth. Now, I would not take a listing ever.
Right.
But if you say, you know what, Doug said you should get 850. Here's the proof that that's probably not likely, but I'm gonna take your listing at 850, and in 10 days, we're gonna do the right thing if we're in trouble. Because you don't want this to happen where you become the tainted house, right? So you're gonna have to add those conversations in your listing presentations because you guys are really competing against agents that'll just say anything to get the listing. Right? And you don't want to scare an optimistic seller off. Let's just be real, right? So the thing is, when we have these markets, it's about making changes quickly and not a $5,000 price reduction on an $850,000 house. It's a $55,000 price reduction. So that's what you guys have to get ready for.
I think the stats from Pro is 44% of the listings have had price reductions.
Isn't that insane?
The last one that came out, yeah, that's a lot of price reductions.
So now we gotta switch gears to COVID. So COVID changed some things forever, right? I mean, it amplified the listing shortage because homes stopped being built. And people got afraid. And people have a lot of unknown still. So they didn't move because they didn't know what was what. And the home of the future changed too, didn't it? Like if you were to build a house now, there would be office space, there would be maybe multiple, office, little office space, for the kids and the family, separated space.
Reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis.
Little houses.
Little
The
houses.
modular business is going crazy.
Yeah,
The back orders are nuts.
Building
Because everybody bought land.
tiny
They couldn't find a
homes.
house.
Those
Here?
those.
After COVID,
Container.
I want a bigger house, not a smaller
You want a
house.
bigger one.
Had those little box ones, They were like 800 grand.
Yeah, those container houses
Steel
are so
container.
popular now. I mean, there's really some cool things going on. But you gotta start thinking about that because you should be communicating the home of the future and to your database because they may also want to build that out. They may want to make some improvements before they list. And the home of the future looks a little different. So you gotta start thinking a little bit about that as well. What changed in your business permanently? I just want to hear from you guys for a sec. Like, what has changed? Like, Jackie.
All my calls go through Zoom.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm not meeting my clients face to face anymore.
And you're not wasting all that time driving to their house.
Really?
So how is that, let me ask you this, how is that possible that you can list a house without going there? How is that possible?
I mean, well, one woman I have right now, she's not even there. She's in Ohio.
Yeah.
So.
But how is it different? Like, I am curious about
What's
this.
57?
No, but I'm curious, like, how
But
does
it
that
is
go,
hard.
Jackie? Because that's really cool. So, like, let's just say I do live in town, and we do our consult, and I already love you, and I know you, and it's kind of a come list me. But what are the logistics of that? When do you go to the house? When do you take the pictures?
I mean, I haven't done that. Everything that I've done, it has been because people are gone and they're not coming back.
Got it.
So I just do them. I mean, I have to go see the house, but the people, I'm just meeting on Zoom.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Who else has had anything really change? Anybody do anything? Anyone?
Buyers aren't in the car anymore.
Yeah. You're
That
not
was there for a
schlepping out.
long time though.
Yeah. You're not schlepping buyers around in the car.
Well, I'm also selling a lot of houses that people have never seen.
Yeah,
Yes.
sight unseen.
Oh, yeah, I've done a lot of that.
Sight
That's true.
unseen.
Oh, yeah.
So, one of the companies that's
FaceTime.
really booming is the $60 billion of money that's going to your disruptors right now. One of the companies is a technology that is like a digital floor plan, kind of like the 3D.
Matterport.
What is the name of it?
Yeah,
Matterport.
Matterport.
It's got the Matterport technology, but people literally can put on their little special sunglass shades that they have and tour the house that way. And that company is slated that likely that is the showing of the future. And that, there's that one company has $1 billion of seed money right now. Because that is gonna be the showing of the future. Now, is that gonna ruin your day? No, that's awesome. It's
Yeah,
not gonna show
awesome.
property.
Exactly.
That's awesome. You know, so some of this is great, but there are things that have changed permanently. Like the office of the future is changing. You know, we're not gonna be cramming 120 of us in the room for gold anymore, let's be honest. And you guys don't need to. You can participate by Zoom. You can be working at home and like listening to a mastermind that interests you and not have to drive all the way to the office. There's some really great efficiencies. And yet the office of the future is going to be quite different as well. I've got an office in Southern Africa that I coach. It's the top 1% agents got together, and it's very rural there. They don't have a mail delivery in Southern Africa. I didn't realize that. Like you can't like mail your database. There's no somebody to deliver it. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But what's interesting is Rolo, the team leader that I coach there, he developed a virtual office for the 1%, the top 1% of all agents. It's a virtual office. They get together once a quarter and like learn from each other and have fun together and share ideas and recognize each other. And then they go back, they're like a 1,000 kilometers apart. That's a really cool idea. And you think about it, like he has this elite group of people that love to learn from each other that are kind of spread out, but they don't have an office that they could even join that would be convenient because of the way that country runs. And yet they've created a community where they can refer and share and grow together and push each other. And they're so successful that there's not a lot of people for them to hang out with. Isn't that brilliant? He hired 18 campers this month because he only hires campers. Interesting, isn't it? So we've got to think differently when we think of even leadership and what we provide you and what that office of the future might look like, because it can be very different, and there can be a lot of changes that we can make because of how we've kind of changed with COVID. So the transaction of the future has to be the easy button. The consumer has been really clear. They want one spot to go in, to search, to manage the transaction, to be communicated with. They want one easy button. They want one company for that whole. They don't want you to tell them to call inspectors. They don't want to go find their own inspector. Now we know we tell them to go find their own inspector because we don't want to be liable, right? And yet we always used to say, stay in your lane or give them 3 names. It's actually not that anymore because they will go to the easy button instead. And they'll spend more money and they don't care. So you got to think about how you package your business and how you communicate your transaction through that entire experience. And we're going to dive into that more specifically. Does that make sense? Anyone want to add anything to that?
I'm in favor of the easy button.
Me too.
Well, I think we
I
all
am
are.
too. No, really, because I think it is what the clients want. I agree with Judy. It's what they want.
They don't want 20.
But isn't that what Zillow is?
Yeah.
Everything.
That's what Zillow is
Yeah.
definitely becoming. So then I want to share that this is kind of eye-opening. Brokerage confidence. So you guys know in pretty much every market, 80% of the entire MLS are small indies, meaning the average office is a broker with like 3 other agents. In our market, it's 4 is the average brokerage. It's 4 agents. 80% of our MLS is that. And then it's the big offices like ours, franchises, that kind of thing. Now that's kind of like most markets. I've looked at several and it's kind of the same look. So 20% of the brokers in 2019 were worried about not being profitable. And this is from Gary at Mega Camp. I'll show you the slide next. In 2021, 65% of brokerages are concerned about being profitable. In this market.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're not business owners. They're entrepreneurial spirit agents that developed an office. They don't have a P&L probably. They're just rolling through. I always joke that those brokers are the broker of the office, the broker. Because very few of them don't run their business like we do. And most
How
of
can
them
you
didn't
be
know about
profitable if you're
PPP.
charging $2.95 a transaction or whatever, $50 or whatever it is?
Check this out. So
How
Gary,
do you pay your rent?
right, so this is what it looks like right now. This is from 2011 to 2021. In the last 10 years, confidence from the brokers on their office being profitable has really diminished. that interesting? Now, here's the truth about it, you guys. 80% of the MLS are these people. And when a small indie is not profitable, what do they typically do?
Cut their rates.
They become a discounter like
Discount.
$95, they may be able to grow like a Dalton Way, right? But they usually roll into a brokerage. They sell. So this is where Coldwell Banker and other companies just go try to buy them out. So I want you to know, this is a huge opportunity for you guys to be friends with these folks right now, because Gary Keller has created an indie model specific for these people. So let's just pretend Darlene Jones, it's got Darlene Jones Realty. And, you know, she's like, man, not having a great year. I don't want to have to create all this, doing all this checking for my agents. We're not super profitable. I don't want to work for 20 more years. I'm going to sell. This is what Gary built. He built a model now, and you guys probably don't know this because this is new. It's the indie, where Darlene Jones can keep her office. She can keep her brand. She can remain the broker. She can run her brokerage however she wants. And she can plug into KWD, powered by Keller Williams. She can have the training. She can have the tech. She can send all of her agents to talk to Kevin about what classes they should plug into. If there was productivity coaching, they can plug in that, you know, whatever it is. And that is, why did he make that move to our franchise agreement? Because it used to be like an act of Congress to try to get a little mini office. I really truly believe Judy Pope's through the last one that happened. Where, and you know how much work you had to do. It took a long time, didn't it?
Get the office.
They're turning new brokerages around in like 2 weeks. And the reason why is Gary Keller doesn't want the little guy to get wiped out in this. He doesn't. And yet, can you imagine if you had a 8-office brokerage where you don't even have you have kind of a website for the office, but you don't have like anything more than that, how vulnerable you would feel right now? So
Who becomes the broker? Did they go underneath some
They can
local
choose.
franchise?
they can either
They have to
morph into
pick.
the office. It's really everyone. I've helped negotiate like 27.
Just pick a KW franchise around you and
Yep,
you're
there
part of
is
that.
a footprint. So
Okay.
you gotta partner with the hub office in the territory.
Got it, right.
So there is some sort of semblance there, but
Right,
that's
okay.
really it.
That's it, yeah.
Now, if
Interesting.
Darlene Jones brokerage didn't even want to deal with the broker duties too, you can relinquish that. But if you want to control it all, you can. Pretty cool.
Wow.
So does that mean there'll be a lot of Keller Williams offices popping up?
Mhm.
Lots of KW
Right.
logos being put on windows. So think about that, you guys.
As long as they get the training and answer the damn phone, I'm good with it.
Okay, well, Matt, you show them.
All right, Matt, we'll wait to see you hang your shingle.
Just like Rolo in Southern Africa created a virtual office for the elite. I mean, think out of the box, guys, because now Gary Keller has given us permission to do all
But
this.
that's kind of like side realty. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with them?
Yes.
Okay, they have not stopped calling me, sending me one, whatever. Judy and I were talking about that. They are trying to take agents at a certain level and trying to convince you that's the way to go, but with them,
Yes.
right? Yes, you follow what I'm saying? Yeah, this is a much better model, just saying.
Well, just think about this for a second, you guys. How much trouble are these really traditional brokerages in that still don't cap? I mean, they're so behind the times. It's just silly. You know, Gary Keller said, go change all your caps, lower the cap. Let's take care of our partners. Their commission is being pushed, we should charge less. Who does that, right? Which broker, do you think Coldwell Banker's doing that with their agents? Like, you can pay us less next year.
No.
No, they can't
They're
because
bleeding
they're
anyway.
bleeding
Yeah.
and they're not profitable. So when you look at what's ahead, you're gonna see a lot of movement and craziness. Don't get nervous by it, just understand the mindset behind it is, you know, if someone has a really cool little brokerage or little boutique shop that they built, but they're one of the 65% that are kind of worried about being profitable, they're already getting offers from Coldwell Banker, I can tell you that. Coldwell Banker aggressively goes after those people. They write checks like, and they're sad checks, like $10,000. It's sad. And there's other options. So Gary kind of rewrote the whole franchise agreement. He's telling you guys, you know, as agents, it's gonna cost less to be here. This is why. I want you to understand the why behind it. And how cool to have maybe a couple offices naming as their downline that, you know. So I want you guys to know that this is a conversation you could have with a friend that owns another brokerage. And Kevin, if a bunch of people want to learn about this, we can maybe do a class on how would you have that conversation.
I want that. Definitely, sure.
Yeah, because we understand how they must be vulnerable right now and how they must feel. What a great opportunity. Okay, and I feel like I'm going fast because we only have 20 minutes left, and I still need to talk about the race. This is really what Gary wants you to know. The race. So when we think of our disruptors, who comes to mind? Just tell me.
Zillow.
Okay. Who else?
Redfin, Open Door.
OfferPad.
Gary Spain.
I'll just put Open Door and OfferPad. Rocket Mortgage.
Mark Spain.
Mark Spain, yeah. Don't worry, I think we should do a campaign to take down Mark Spain.
Oh my God, that's obnoxious.
Okay, and then you've got KW, you've got Remax, you got Colo Banker. Okay, here's the thing: is Gary drew this up the other day really well, and he's like, this is the process: you search, then you buy, and then you own, and then you sell. This is the real estate rotation, right? The circle. Every one of these disruptors have come in different ways, right? Zillow came in through search originally, but can you buy with them now? Can you sell with them now?
Yeah.
Do they have home ownership services? Yeah. Zillow actually does all this now. As agents, we were really good at the buy and sell, but this is the opportunity Gary wants to talk about and me to talk to you about right now. It's the opportunity for you to get your life back and your database back out of Zillow's hands. And it's through ownership. The ownership experience is what's changing, and that's what you guys have to change. So instead of giving them a list of 3 inspectors that you know well, you've got to connect them to the people during the transaction in a very concierge way. Is one change. But the second change, which is more important, is the 5 to 7 years between them buying their next house. You have to be almost like a property manager. Or every quarter, you've got to give a list of VIP service providers with a discount. I'm going to change it so that you won't get there. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It's about your heart and connecting with people. Or it's about creating a community. Because they have to be part of your world. If I'm going to renovate my house and Tony's my realtor, I should know I should call her first. You see that? Do you understand what I'm saying there? And Gary's like, you guys have the relationship, and Zillow can't get in there because they can't be any better than Angie's list, right? So how are you going to dominate the ownership experience? How are you going to do that? That's what you guys got to think about. So that's what we really need to mastermind around. And we have only 20 minutes, so I just want to talk about like what comes to mind to you guys while I'm talking to you. What could you do?
Jackie, I really do this already. Because I renovate my own houses and buy and sell too, I have a team of people already that I recommend.
Yeah.
So in every transaction, I tell my clients, this is not the end of our relationship. Our relationship,
just beginning.
Our relationship goes on for life, and I want you to think of me for anything related to your house whatsoever. You're never bothering me. I'm never too busy for you, and I refer my people to them. And then my people give such great service because they want my referral. So it's ending up to be a really great relationship.
It's like almost like you guys have to develop your own BNI group of service providers for anything related to home ownership and maybe even the community. And I'm not saying you're gonna have to spend thousands of dollars to get people's houses painted, pressure washed. I'm not saying that. But like, what if you had a guy that you knew that was starting his new business and he did landscaping And you can say, you know what, I'm gonna buy $500 worth of your service and you're my prize next month. And I'm gonna do a drawing with my database. That is what I'm talking about. So I want you to just start thinking about what is that experience like? And how are you gonna communicate, just like Jackie did, like, this is, I'm with you. Till the next house, which might be 5 to 7 years.
I do very similarly to what she does. I had somebody call me the other day that bought from me 10 years ago. Hey, we're just thinking of doing so-and-so, who have you got? Or their joke is, we know Kathy's got a guy for that. And that's what a lot of clients will say to me all the time. We know, Kathy, you've got a guy for that. And I just laugh and I say, yes, I do. Tell me when you're ready. So, and I do have the service providers, like you're saying, that most of them I've used for 15 to 20 years. If they're good, they're still with me. And if they're not good, I've dumped them and moved on to somebody else.
Right.
Hey, Jessica, this is Kelly.
Wow.
I just wanted to add, you helped me, push me to put together my service directory, and that's been hugely successful. I have 2 properties listed right now that belong to my landscaper.
Yeah.
And he chose me because he's in my directory and I refer him.
Whisper, just whisper, Kelly, whisper.
Okay, this is
Kill
what
this
you-
guy.
Brian Coward just told you to whisper. I mean, that kind of
This is Kelly, also known as God.
I love it. And Kelly, you're exactly right, because you're ahead of the curve right now. And yet, I don't want you guys to get freaked out about this. Because the other thing I think we can do as an office and as leaders for you is we can get you a little directory going of some really good people that are tried and true. For those of you that are like, I don't even know where to begin. But it doesn't have to be that complex. It could be as simple as a battery in October. And you know what? October is this next month. So what if you guys just
It's tomorrow, actually.
I mean, if 31
Not believe it.
you can literally go back to everyone that
No, we're not believing it.
everyone that you've sold houses to recently, or anyone that you really want, if you have looked at your database and said, okay, these are actually my 50 core people out of the 500 names I have here, these are my 50. I'm not saying do it to 500 people, but what if you just got real with your database and said, who is really my ace? And you started there, you guys. And you went to Amazon, everyone should be in there on their cell phone, and you just ordered a whole bunch of 9-volt batteries, and you literally just did pop buys, and you made something cute at the door, and you left it. And you say, we need to talk. The market is crazy right now. We got to talk. If you're thinking anything in 2022, we got to talk now. The market is shifting. And if that was all the note was, wouldn't that be cool? Think about that. Instead of pie giveaways, it's battery giveaways, right? So it really is this race, and that's what Gary wants you to know is this is what you guys can't let anyone penetrate because they really can't get the relationship with Redfin or Zillow. And that's how you really build your moat that he's been talking about for how many years now. Build your moat, build your moat. Well, this is the ownership experience is the moat. Now here's the truth. That is $60 billion of hedge fund money of companies coming in to disrupt you. So we could put all those companies on this little chart here. And there are different segments. I have this, so Kevin, if you want, you can scan it and send it to people, because this is a really interesting one. But it's the finding your home part, the financing your home part, the closing the home, managing the property afterwards, managing the loan, mortgage lender, selling home. It's really segmented into this experience, what these different companies. But those companies aren't just trying to get into their segment, they're trying to race to provide this experience. So this is the experience you need to provide and communicate. And you need them to know that you will. Just like Jackie's like, this is the beginning of our relationship at the closing.
Right.
You almost need to say that and re-articulate that. Now, here's the interesting thing. I have a typo. This is 20 billion. It should say 60 billion, so I gotta make that change. 60 billion in funding, 64% of it is going towards this. The home ownership experience. Home services. So 64% of the $60 billion of hedge fund money is going after that experience. It's the Angie list. It's a lot of those type companies. And that's where you got to trump that with your relationships. Does that make sense? There's a lot of money up there. Now, the interesting thing is 63% of all these companies are new. These are not old companies, they are new companies. So this is the market, this is the financial world banking on one of these is the next Amazon. And most of these companies will fail. So don't be intimidated by that, but I hope you understand the race. Now, do we have questions about the race? Is this clear or not? I want to make sure I'm being clear on that.
Well, what's the prediction of when the race will be won?
Zillow already can do it.
Yeah, but they still have a lot of things to work out. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think the customer is really enjoying their experience with Zillow right now.
Well, and Brittany Wilson and I went and had dinner last night, and she's closing a deal with Zillow right now.
We have to.
And we were looking at the HUD, and I'm like, gosh, we should do a transactional net sheet of what a Zillow transaction looks like and what yours.
Oh,
You're
yes.
saying she's representing the buyers on a home Zillow selling?
Yeah, we've done that twice this
So
year.
it'd be interesting. I think this would be a really worthwhile exercise, because I just need to get my hands on a few settlement statements, right, to see what the actual true costs were. Because they're getting hosed. I mean, they really are.
Oh, yeah, no, they are. Their
And
costs
they're
are
totally
very high.
clueless, but it was the easy button, and and that's the truth of the matter, you guys. So you've got to be able to understand that. So one of the things I would like to do, if anyone is willing to share with me, will obviously black out the confidential information, but I'd like to actually tear up a few sheets.
We actually did a whole presentation on comparing rates, like Zillow. Everybody was shocked, everything.
I would love to talk about that. Yeah. Share.
We don't have the numbers on me right now.
What's wrong with you? You never like tapped it on your, like, look at out of your pocket. No, but you see what I'm saying is it's kind of like shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, if you are selling with them, you are uneducated, like you just don't know. And
You're an idiot.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Well, no, it's just don't be taken advantage of, because what they're doing is they're dangling to give away the commission, right? But then they win on all the other services and make all this extra money. So Gary, when you look at why Gary formed Keller Mortgage, it's not to have a mortgage company, it's for you to be able to give his mortgage commission away so that you don't have to give your commission away. Same thing with Keller Covered Insurance. He's giving away the income he would have made from those companies as a discount so that the true net is actually a net. But we have to be able to articulate that. And we're not saying don't use Brian P because he's our dude. It just, you gotta explain the package.
Well, that's-
Right? No, but you know what I'm saying? You gotta call it out. You guys can't, you gotta talk about it. You can't just let people wander off and get taken advantage of, but we don't talk about it.
But
Well, and it's because we need to do the math, right? We gotta understand it so we feel good about it, so we can talk about it.
I was just gonna say, they use Zillow because it's an easy button, and they don't know we have one. We're not telling them we have one too.
And we're not packaging we're not bundling our own service. Have you seen enough bundling commercials?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's bundling. Well, they want the bundle, you guys. They want the easy button. So you guys have to bundle your services, but you have to be able to teach like you did. Whoever you're speaking to, you're informing them about the truth. Like, don't be taken advantage of. This is the truth. And, we can put together a marketing piece that would give an example, and I think it'd be really effective for all of you guys to have. As like, hey, don't be, and this is what you should not wait for someone that needs a real estate transaction to communicate. You should be communicating this to everybody you know right now, right? So that they don't wander off and go to whatever.
Well, when we did our closing with Zillow, we did look at their numbers, and people would say, oh, you want 6%, like we're asking for the world on a silver platter.
Right.
Zillow averages between 8 and 10% is their charges.
Yes.
Is that what you found when you were doing
and
it?
8 to 13% on some others.
Okay, I just used Zillow, but it was between 8 and 10.
It's ridiculous.
It is, it's crazy.
But
And
their
they think-
commercials,
and they
the
don't
commercials
have
are beautiful. They're really nicely done
Well,
commercials.
they're also promoting that they buy at market value. So they're only promoting their purchase price is at market value. They're not telling you all the other stuff.
Yeah, that's such a broad definition, market value.
That's so like,
This
everyone
market,
could argue
yes.
what market value is.
Yeah,
right?
in this market, it's whatever somebody's willing to pay.
But then even the latest thing I saw is that they're like 0.09% lower than the average or something like that. So it's like, they're like, oh, we're market value, where no, you're not.
It's so true, and yet I really would like to do that transactional example, and I think if we could get that together for you guys, and we could just go through it, basically what you did. Maybe, you know, we gotta put some disclaimer on it so we don't get sued or something, but I think that would be a marketing piece that we should put together, and that we should rush that information out to everyone we know and educate them. But we need to get educated first, don't we? So that we feel comfortable talking about it. And I haven't been able to get my hands on. I would love to get one for Redfin, anybody. So any of these disruptors that you have, we should think about like getting a couple HUDs together. Here's a book. Yeah. And be like, here's some examples of how some of these companies that say they're discounts are actually taking advantage of you. So when you're ready to buy or sell, let's talk. You know, that's all you got to do. You just got to show the proof because they don't. You guys know when they're in a closing, they just signed and don't even know what they're not reading anything. They're not looking and they're like, I don't even know. Okay, we already bought the house. Let's go. Right? It's so far in, and it doesn't. It's nothing that they can even really pull apart or understand. And ourselves as agents, we probably don't know it well enough either. So I know we started talking about the market and the proof that there's a little bit of a shift going on, and then we switched gears to talk about some of the COVID stuff. But the real race is creating that ownership experience. And when you do, you don't have to worry about Zillow, but it requires you to communicate and educate your database, your relationships about the race and the smoke and mirrors, but also the market. So I would challenge you all to think, like, what are you going to do to be super duper 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 communicative for the rest of the year? Like more than you ever have. Maybe a little video on this, maybe showing on your website the proof that the market is starting to shift. I don't care. We could even come up with some things from the office and just get them out to you guys, just so that, you know, for those of you that don't know exactly what you'd say, I'm happy to have my assistant maybe make some things and just give them to you guys. You can just push it out. But I would have a huge sense of urgency in communication and little videos. And again, if we put this together, and maybe I could use what you started with and kind of gussy it up a little and get a little bit more evidential proof from a few more closings. Maybe have 2 or 3 examples, so it's not just one. I think if we could get you guys to feel comfortable explaining that and sharing that, we really are in a good spot. Very good spot. I mean, let's just be honest, it's an amazing market. And we're in a lucky state. We're not North Dakota. That market is hurting for certain. No one's staying in North Dakota. So study the market is really what I want you to take action on. Really go look and see those price reductions. It's not just days on market that you're going to see coming up, but prepare yourself with the right mindset for competing with agents that are going to say, sure, we can sell it for $850,000 because that's your truth. And yet don't not keep that listing, but educate them and say, here's the thing. If in 10 days we're crickets and nothing's happening, we are in trouble and we got to act fast. And again, I had the shift slide earlier in this presentation. It shows like how if you don't correct quickly, you just become that tainted listing, right?
You're chasing the market.
Chasing the market, and you never win, do you? And then they get mad at you, so then they expire with you, and then they go do the right thing with the next agent, and you're like, I told them to do that, and they didn't listen to me. Well, you've got to be the bait. I get it. You want to try 850, but we're gonna. One of 3 things is gonna happen. We're gonna have action, showings, offers, which is awesome, and that means you were right. Or we're gonna have very little action and no offers, which means we got to make a change quickly. And that is what I hope you guys really just embrace. And some of you have never been through that before. So this is where our office thrives because we help each other. So don't be afraid to ask a friend in the office. Don't be afraid to ask someone that's maybe been through this before. Like, what should I do? I can't get any action on this house. Don't be afraid to reach out and get advice from each other. But this is the time where we get out of autopilot and list sell like we have been, and we get back to being experts. And the cool thing is, this is where we wipe out the MLS again, and like 50% of the agents quit, which is awesome. right?
It is what happens.
It happens every time.
The last one, there was over,
Join KW.
there was over 10,000 agents. And back, I think it was in 2007 or 2008, there was about 4,200 of us left. That was it. It was less than 50% survived.
But you know what? Well, Brian went through this with the mortgage meltdown, and who was standing? The guys that you love doing deals with that knew what they were doing.
Just a very small group of people.
I think the mortgage guys got hit harder than the agents when that crash happened.
Yeah, you didn't know who was gonna make it.
Yeah.
I was in 4 places in 6 months.
Dang.
Some by choice, some not so much.
And you guys just think about it, not just to get all recruity on you, but think about the opportunity for your profit share with the 80% of the MLS that's kind of wondering what's going on with their brokerage. And the truth is, there's one broker. If there's 8 other agents in that office, they're being impacted with whatever decision that broker made. And usually they don't go where the broker is telling them they're going or where they sold or rolled into. They usually leave. So this is the time you really want to be a great agent and a great friend to your co-brokes, because a lot of them will say, what's going on? What are you doing? You know, like because of these changes. And you know, like if you were at Darlene Jones Realty and she told you one day, guess what guys, I'm now Century 21 and you are too. They might be like, heck no, I'm not Century 21, right? I'm gonna go check out what my options are. And so we're gonna see this wild movement in our MLS. Big time. So get ready. Strap it. It's gonna be wild. Now, there's other things that we can't tell you yet because it's confidential, and I can't tell you for like 3 more days.
Come on, we won't say.
Fast forward. I brought lunch, but I'm not feeding you.
Well, just say that getting people licensed will become really easy. We'll just say that.
Okay.
What did you say?
Getting people licensed will become really easy.
Oh, no.
And there's a huge opportunity for you there as well. And yeah, we're gonna do it because we'll be able to tell you everything by then. And yet, you know, just know that I love that we're with Terry Keller because this guy runs at this stuff, and he's been talking about this, but we're finally getting it. He's been talking about this for how long, Deb Ward?
Long time.
Long time. It's like, but I feel like I was on this mastermind 2 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, I got it now. And he just kept drawing this over. And he's like, this is where the relationship trumps everything. And I'm going to tell you, if you're like, oh boy, I should have been better with my database. It's okay. It's not too late. You can start now. It's never too late. It's never too late. It is never too late. And I would say for those of you that maybe have a real messy database and it's been underloved, that maybe we do a workshop day. We come in and we talk about, you know, cleaning it up and not getting rid of, but like pull out the aids. Leave the rest in there and keep marketing them. That's not bad for you. But if you really were going to do something special for a site group, who are those? So it's manageable and that you can actually do something. Because remember, you don't need 1,000 people. You need like 50 good ones. That's it, you guys. It's not about having a 4,000 person database. It's about having your tribe. And we develop that through this experience. Good?
Yeah.
10 on the dot.
Thanks, John.